Tonight I will read the statement, take a few questions, and we will also post and send it. We'll also make copies of the statement. USA Track and Field and the United States Olympic Committee announced the following procedures to be applied to the women's 100 meters and any other running event for which there may be a dead heat for third place at the US Olympic Trials here in Eugene. These procedures were developed through consultation between USATF officials and representatives of the Olympic track and field athlete community, and were presented to and approved by the USOC. USATF President and Chairman Stephanie Hightower, CEO Max Siegel, USO CEO Scott Blackman, and sport performance officials from both organizations contributed to the formation and approval of these procedures. The USOC approves all selection procedures for the Olympic team in each sport and had previously approved track and field selection procedures entering the 2012 US Olympic Trials. These procedures did not take into account a third place dead heat. The affected athletes and/or their representatives have been informed of these procedures. USATF will provide an update when the final means of determining which athlete will fill the third spot on the Olympic team in the women's 100 meters has been established. The procedures are these. In the case of a tie, the following procedure shall be used for breaking a tie in the final qualifying slot in a running event final in which a U.S. national team or Olympic team is being selected. First, if either athlete declines his or her position on the national team or Olympic team, that athlete will be named the alternate, and the other athlete will assume the available position. If neither athlete declines their position, they will be given the option to determine the tiebreaker via coin toss or by runoff. If both athletes choose the same option, that option will be used as the tiebreaker. If the athletes disagree on the tiebreaker, the tie will be broken by a runoff. If both athletes refuse to declare a preference regarding the method between a runoff and a coin toss in regards to how the tie is broken, the tie will be broken by a coin toss. And the runoff protocol is this. USATF's Chief of Sport Performance, in consultation with the athletes and their coaches, will determine the time of the runoff depending on entry deadlines, travel, practice, and competition schedules, and the best interests of the national team, or in this case, the Olympic team. If the runoff also results in a dead heat, the tie will be broken by a coin toss. So at this point, I will take any questions. Phil?
Translate that into practical English. Does that mean that we're not going to know until after the 200 because they won't talk about it until after?
So practically speaking, our team must be set and our team sign-up is here in Eugene. So by the end of the Olympic trials, we do need to have this position determined.
So the runoff would have to be before the Olympic trials if there is a runoff?
It would have to be by Monday, by the end of Sunday, I would say.
What happens in the event of a false start?
False start procedures would apply. Standard competition rules will apply.
I thought you said if people express different, one said runoff, one says coin flip, you do a runoff, right?
Correct.
If one doesn't say anything, then you do a coin flip?
If both athletes refuse to declare a preference, then it's a coin toss.
Or both?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Have we asked them, or when do they have to declare their choice? When will we know what's going to happen?
There is no deadline for them declaring their choice other than we need to have the selection complete by the end of the trials.
So they can tell you, they can wait until Sunday or Monday?
They could not wait till Monday.
They have to let you know by the end of Sunday what they shoot?
Well, we have to have it resolved by the end of Sunday.
Have you asked them or gotten an answer or any indication yet?
No, they've just been notified of the procedures. Tim?
Okay, so in the scenario that, say, one refuses to declare which way they would like to do it and the other has a preference, what way do we go?
Say that again? Well, that would be...
One athlete says run off, the other says, I refuse to do either one.
Then that would be broken by, according to this, if the athletes disagree on the tiebreaker, the tie will be broken by runoff. Yes?
Did the athletes or their agents have a reaction when you told them what would happen?
That would be a question for the athletes or their agents.
How do you agree on a procedure for the runoff? who determines when it's going to happen and that kind of thing?
Well, the ultimate arbiter is our chief of sport performance, but she will be consulting with the athletes and their coaches. And again, this is designed to apply to any running event. So for instance, if we have a dead heat in the 5,000, the same rules would apply.
I think I know the answer, but is there a deadline here?
Well, that's what I just said. We have to have the team selected by the end of the trials.
And that is the only deadline?
Yes, there is not a deadline for the decision, but presumably the decision would come by Sunday at some point, since Sunday is the deadline for declaring the
So
team.
hypothetically, I'm sorry for the hypothetical,
Yeah.
but since they're both running, if they make the final in the 200 on Saturday, they could advise you late Saturday night or early Sunday morning, we'd like to do a runoff, and it could be arranged?
As long as we have the rendering by the end of competition Sunday, that's a possibility.
Jill, would they have to run in public? Would they have to run at Hayward? Would they have sole discretion of where they stage a runoff if they indeed go that
No,
way?
our chief of sport performance would have that decision. I wouldn't anticipate any scenario where it would happen anywhere other than here.
So USA Basketball asked for and received an extension on the time allowed to name their team. Could a similar scenario apply here where the athletes could ask for an extension for the time to name the team?
We plan to have our team named at the end of the meet.
Oh, sorry.
So Jill, another hypothetical. If they're both in the 200 final, they would have to do their runoff before that?
They disagree.
That's a hypothetical that I can't even get into.
But isn't the 200 final like at the very end?
The women's 200 final, I believe, is Saturday.
Oh, it's Saturday. Okay. All right. Thanks.
Men's 200 is Sunday.
You say it could come to Monday, or it would have to be, if they decide by Sunday, could they run, you could run it still Monday?
We'll have our team decided by the end of the meet.
Which is Sunday for sure. You're not going to extend anything by then.
So,
Just to make this clear, if one wants a runoff and the other wants a runoff, does not, it's a runoff. And
Correct.
if they both agree on a runoff, it's a runoff.
correct.
And if they both say no runoff is the only coin flip, right?
How about if,
If they both say coin
I
flip
think
or no
once we
runoff.
print this and distribute it, it'll be clear.
What if there's a dead heat on the last day of competition? I mean, that's a hypothetical, but what?
I'm not gonna, the hypotheticals are gonna stop here because we can go on with that all night.
Does this policy go forward, or is it just for this particular trial?
The policy, because right now in our selection procedures for our national team, obviously coming into this week specifically for the Olympic team, we did not have these types of procedures. USATF will certainly be ensuring that our national team selection has these types of procedures moving forward. Whether it'll be absolutely identical word for word, I can't say definitively, but the intention is that this type of procedure will be in place and on the books heading into any other national championship for which we're selecting a national team. No one wants to repeat the process.
Are the rest days off limits?
I don't know. I can't speculate on that.
Does anybody from either of the runners camps or TV or anybody besides you guys at USOC